Don't let her good looks fool you. Body lines so straight and true. Sexy wheels and shiny paint. A show car is just what she ain't. Chrome curb feelers, bitchin' mud flaps help to stretch the biggest scabs. If you still don't have a clue, then this is what we'll do to you. We'll take your lunch money and make it our beer money. And if you think that's funny, we'll do it again, honey. We'll take all your lunch money and make it our beer money. We'll steal your french fries, run smooth out your lives, and then drink all our beer money. We'll throw our shoots in your face. I hope you like winning second place.
All right, real good stuff, doers. Today we're going to talk about yesterday's snow prep race with beer money. I had planned on putting out an extra fuel injector video, but because this thing's more relevant, I'm going to put this one out first. In the next couple days, you'll see an extra injector video for beer money. Merch is available, HarrellEngine.com. There's all kinds of shirts, such as this thing here. If you're interested in that stuff, head over to HarrellEngine.com. I'll try to put a link in the description if I can remember. But anyhow, the race at Wilkesboro, let's go over a couple of details about the race before we look at some of this harrowing footage, because it was sketchy a few times, that's for sure. We ended up winning the deal, but it was not easy. The two passes we're going to talk about, one, the second round, we raced Randy Cox, and the thing you have to know about Wilkesboro, it's really one of the trickiest tracks that we know prep at, because two reasons. One, the track is actually, I wouldn't call it narrow, but the groove is unbelievably narrow. I don't quite know why. Plenty of concrete, but the concrete on both sides of this narrow black strip is just pristine, like nobody's ever even walked down it. Maybe their sprayer is narrow. They probably run a bunch of bracket cars there that don't use up a lot of racetrack. I don't know. But the actual rubber part, not really that wide. So it's a little bit tricky in that regard. The other thing is, especially from half track on, really bumpy. It's kind of like a motocross track. Tabletops, whoop-de-doos, all that stuff. And I don't exactly know what to do to tune to account for those things. So really, especially the last 150, 200 feet, if you're not out in front by then, you're not going to be able to do much about it. It's or at least we're not, because there's no acceleration happening from that point on. So you have to understand that about about Wilkesboro. That's just like, you've got to get it done quick or it's not going to get done at all. All right, so the second round, we're in the right lane versus Randy. I'm going to take a look at the data. Partly what caused this is I really should have had Lyle another tire width to the left if I'd have been paying attention a little better. So what happens is it goes out, drifts right a little bit, and before long, that right tire is completely in the concrete. Well, what that means is it ain't doing nothing. Only your left tire is pulling. So therefore, Lyle's having to counter steer in and out of the throttle to try to bring it back. When he lets out after the stripe, the wheel's cut. Now it just slings the car into the other lane. It slings it in front of Randy. Randy, fortunately enough, was pretty quick with the brake pedal, and somehow we avoided a collision there. But anyhow, the footage is pretty crazy. I've got the rear view. I thought I didn't have it, but I do have it. So that's good. I don't got an in-car because the camera turned over backwards. Anyhow, now the only good thing to look at data-wise on this is the yaw data. We got VPS yaw data that's showing that we are really twisting this car, especially down here. right? Now, if you look, it's configured wrong on this computer, so it's obviously not in KPA. But it goes pretty wild here, and obviously once we really whip it out here, it is showing it it's crazy party time. So honestly, in the future, I probably need to think about what to do with this yaw data. Maybe there's some stuff that I can do to help out in the tune-up, assuming we get into this situation again. Anyhow, tune-up wise, that's all we're going to cover on that. The next round was really the round of the event, the round that mattered, more so than others, because we had to race Jarrett Bradshaw. That car's been picking up steam recently. As a tuner, one of the things you got to do, if you can, sometimes it's hard to do it because you got other things to do, but I try to watch as much as I can of the other cars so you know what you're up against. Are these guys getting down? What are they doing when they stage? Can they even stage right? But anyhow, what I'm getting at is watch Jarrett first pass, and his first pass looked good. So then I realized, all right, well, this is the car we got to beat. And, you know, the way things work out in no prep, especially at a race like this, I think it was chip draw every time. But anyhow, we had to race Jarrett in the semifinals, so we know we got to get with it, got to do it to it. Now, we managed to pull it off. Let's look at some data. Everything went pretty good. The only thing is, if you look at the profiler data, this is what I'm talking about. If you look, all right, once we get right here, at the bottom here, that's the timing that's ripping out, because up here, we're, if you look here, we get above the profile right here. This is at pretty much exactly 2 seconds. I'd moved the shift down to try to, but it had been trying to knock it into shake a little bit where I was shifting it before. So I moved that a little bit, and that helped. But anyhow, at 2 seconds, it's had enough. Starts to slip a little bit. The profiler grabs it. Here's the 2-3, grabs it a little bit more, and then it comes down. But then pretty quick, out here, this is where you start hitting these whoop-de-doos. And what you're seeing here, pretty much, is the tire off the ground. If you ever raced at that place, you can listen to the cars once they get down the big end of the track, and it's yang, 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 yang. You get this going on. In our case, what you're going to hear is pop, 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 because we're on the smart drop. Whenever we get above here, we're dropping holes. Boom, boom, boom. But anyhow, from here on, there is no acceleration happening, right? Now, keep in mind, we've got our power turned down from where we would be at. If we're at a track that's flat on the back, we would have a good bit more power in it at this point, right? But even with the power down on this pass, our mile an hour is down every bit of 10 mile an hour. So that just shows you from before 4 seconds to the stripe, there really is not much acceleration happening. It's just not happening, you know. So, like I say, at Wilkesboro, it's a little tricky. You got to get it in when you can. And fortunately, it was enough to hold off Jarrett that round. But I can still see him in my GoPro over there, and that's unacceptable. Dislike, unsubscribe. So we're going to have to improve a little bit, I believe. But anyhow, let's take a look at some of this video. And next couple days, we'll have a video on extra injectors that we've got going on in Beer Money. Merch is at HeraldEngine.com. Like and subscribe, comment, whatever. Later.
You're really good at driving stuff today.
I had to be.
Real good at driving.
Didn't have a choice.
You used all the lanes.
99.9% of other people would have been in the wall.
I should have.
The only way you save that is no brake pedal.
I should have moved you another whole tire to the left.
Well, problem number 2 was the chute got balled up back there.
Right. That didn't help nothing.
Didn't come out. Because of the way I packed it, I know.
If it didn't come out, I was worried we was going to get stopped. I could tell them.
We totally redeemed ourselves on that pass.
100%.
Right.
I wasn't too sure when I got towards the finish line. I was like, well, I don't know where Jared's at, but he may get a windshield full of my bumper.
That's a pretty good rip for this place. I don't know what it was.
When you turn the camera off, I'll tell you what it went.
Right.
Congratulations on the win.